Hey Pokemon fans, Real Mama Eagle here, also known as Key, and today I'm here to rank all the Pokemon soundtracks from Generation 1 to Generation 9. The opinions in this video are my own and are totally subjective based on how much I like the soundtrack and how much each one stood out individually. Before we get into this ranking, don't forget to like and subscribe and ding that bell so you know when videos are going live, and leave a comment below. Rank the soundtracks for me, let me know how you like them, and let me know which ones are your favorites. Now let's get started. Number 9, Generation 6. Generation 6 does have a soundtrack that's very distinct to Kalos and has very Parisian feel to it, but it is a soundtrack that is mostly forgettable to the average Pokemon fan. Don't get me wrong, Gen 6 soundtrack does have some bangers. I personally did like Lumoy City. I love Professor Sycamore's theme. Also like the Elite Four and Gym Leader themes respectively. And Snowbell City is a fantastic song. But outside of that, there's not really a ton that sticks out and it's not super memorable. And after a while, a lot of the songs, especially in the towns, started to sound the same to me, which makes Gen 6 soundtrack last on the list. Number 8. Generation 1. Now, Generation 1 is a great soundtrack, but it's one that the average Pokemon fan rates higher than they should, just because it's very nostalgic. But unfortunately, at the time in Gen 1, they were very limited as to what they could create music-wise, so most of Gen 1 songs were essentially a repeating bar over and over and not a full song. Obviously, something we got to experience in later generations. Gen 1 does have its bops, though. I do love the surfing and bicycle theme. I do like Team Rocket's Soap Company theme. Lavender Town is amazing. Also, the final end battle with Gary is amazing as well, so those are some great songs. Gen 1 is lower on this list simply because it was limited, and you also had a lot of songs in other towns that were almost repeating. Number 7. Generation 2. Generation 2 is a great soundtrack, but it also gets a lot of hype due to the fact that it's an older generation, thus very nostalgic for people. Gen 2's soundtrack definitely does have some bangers. I love the Gym Leader theme, the Elite Four theme, and also the In Battle theme, respectively, are great ones. Goldenrod is pretty solid, but not super great. Icrutic City is really one of the best themes of this entire soundtrack, along with Mahogany Town's Team Rocket Hideout, which I thought was pretty cool. So definitely some good sounds. But I do have to say that, again, this is something that we overhype just because we love it based on nostalgia. Gen 2, like Gen 1, is very limited. But what makes Gen 2 better than Gen 1 is the fact that it did make a lot of Gen 1's music better, except for Lavender Town. But definitely worthy of number 7. Number 6. Generation 7. It almost feels unfair to put Pokemon Sun and Moon Gen 7 at 6 on this list, but there are too many good soundtracks in Pokemon, and they all have to go somewhere. Gen 7 is a great soundtrack that has that Hawaiian feel and fits the region of Alola perfectly. Some bangers on this soundtrack are Miley City, the Guzma theme as well. The Tapu themes are all absolutely amazing. The Kahuna themes, even Luzamine's theme, the Ultra Beast. There's definitely some good music in this soundtrack. What makes it a bit lower on this list and not a bit higher is the fact that the other generations ahead of it do have a bit more variety, and you do kind of get like a repetitive, light and airy feel with the soundtrack, but the bangers are good enough to make it rise above the ones previous to it. But it's number 6. Number 5. Generation 3. Generation 3, whether you're playing the original or the remake, is definitely a banger of a soundtrack. We all remember the great musical upgrade it was over Gen 1 and Gen 2, and the trumpets that we'll never forget as well. And the one thing I dislike about the soundtrack is the fact that it kind of had some repeating themes and towns. You obviously had Mauville City and Rustboro City and Moss Deep City with a similar theme, so that kind of took away from it a smidge. But you have cities that had their own distinct theme, like Fort Tree City. So there was definitely a lot to it. I do love Kyogre and Groudon's theme. I think it's one of my favorites. I do love Team Aqua and Magma's themes as well. And the Deoxys theme and the Rayquaza theme, also some absolute banger. This soundtrack is memorable, it's nostalgic, it's beautiful. It captures the spirit of Hoenn very well and definitely worthy of top 5. Number 4, Generation 8. Generation 8 actually turned out being one of my favorite soundtracks in the entire series, just for the fact that it was a really hype and techno-based soundtrack, but also had a lot of beauty and ambiance to it as well. We will never forget where we were the first time we heard the amazing Gym Leader theme, which is still the best Gym Leader theme in the series. It is also one of my favorite rival battle themes in Bede and Marnie soundtracks. Both have killer songs. Those were definitely great. The wild area is also a star here too, with that beautiful ambience that really fits just the theme of you riding around, enjoying the area and interacting with the wild Pokemon. A lot of the towns like Stow on Side had great music as well as Motosoke Town, but definitely some memorable themes that really capture the spirit and region of Galar, and it felt like England. But this soundtrack definitely kept you on your toes, kept you excited, and was very diverse and worthy of top 4. Number 3. Generation 9. I honestly thought that Scarlet and Violet really brought it home with the soundtrack, and what I really adored was the fact that they took elements of Gen 8's soundtrack and made it even better. Don't get me wrong, Gen 8 still has the best gym leader theme between the two, but they took elements and still kept that techno hype feel that we love so much. Some of my favorite themes in this generation are the Terra Battle theme when you're inside a den. I do love the gym leader theme, and then I love how it ramps up when they throw out their Terra Pokemon. It kind of reminded me of Gen 5, but we'll get into that a bit later, obviously. But this Gen 9 had some great music. Some of my favorites include the Nemona Battle theme, but the absolute stars of this generation are the Professor Seda and Toru themes and Arven's Battle theme. Arven's Battle theme was majestic, and it actually drew parallels to Bede's Battle theme for me, which is why I thought it was so amazing. The Meriadon and legendary Rhydon theme, Coridon, it's so good. It's really the theme of the entire game and basically captures the spirit of this generation. Definitely worthy of top 3. Number 2. Generation 4. It was obvious that Gen 4 was going to be in the top 2. It's just so good and timeless. And even if you play the original remake, it's still great. I do prefer the original because I think it's a bit less polished, and I do like that charm. And that original piano really stands out in the original. Gen 4 has bangers on top of bangers, whether it's the Lake Valor theme or any of the lake themes or the Verterity Lakefront theme. It could be Snow Point City, Jubilife City, Canalab City, Floraroma Town, Eterna Forest. There's just so much good music in this generation, and you're literally jamming out listening to the beautiful ambience the entire time. It also has stellar legendary music, stellar battle music, and of course we can't forget about Cynthia's beautiful piano theme and her theme as well. This is a OST you can legit put on, do your work, and just let it play in the background. It's so good. There's no bad song, which makes it worthy of top 2. Number 1, Generation 5. Now, if you know me, you're not that surprised, but this soundtrack is a number 1 just because it's my favorite. It's number 1 because it literally has the most music to choose from and has the most bangers. There's so much creativity in the soundtrack, and you rarely see things repeated, but there's just so much beauty. Between the majestic and creativity of Village Bridge, the Dream Yard, you have the gym leader theme and that beautiful heavy metal, along with that great heavy metal Elite Four theme, that majestic, beautiful champion music with Iris or Alder, respectfully. You have N's theme, Getz's theme, which is haunting but beautiful at the same time. You have Oplicit City that has 2 totally different soundtracks based on you playing Pokemon Black or Pokemon White. You have the Marine Tube in Black and White too. You have the Skybarrow Bridge. You have Driftville City. You have so many different cities. You have Skyla's, you have just so much to choose from in this gen. I get so excited. But there's just so many bangers in Black and White and Black and White too, which makes this the most creative and the most overall best soundtrack. Let me know what you think in the comments section below about my Pokemon soundtrack ratings from Generation 1 and Generation 9, and I want to know your opinions as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. I am also Real Mommy Eagle on all social media platforms, and I do live streams at twitch.tv/RealMommyEagle. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.